There is something you need to know, something most people overlook. Archangel Michael says, God is trying to speak to you. Not through thunder, not through visions in the sky, but through your child. Yes, that innocent voice, those small hands, those wide eyes that look at the world with wonder, they are more connected to heaven than you realize. In their laughter, in their sudden wisdom, in the strange things they say when no one is watching, God is leaving you clues. Clues that most adults are too distracted to notice. You see, children are not just growing bodies. They are open channels, pure, unfiltered, unburdened by the noise of the world. Their souls are closer to the light, untouched by years of doubt or fear. Archangel Michael reveals that when a child begins to say something that feels strangely deep or out of place for their age, that is not a coincidence. That is not just their imagination. It is heaven speaking in a language only the heart can understand. You were meant to hear it. Think back for a moment. Has your child ever looked at you and said something that made your heart stop? Have they ever mentioned someone who passed away, someone they never met? Have they ever described a dream that felt too vivid, too meaningful, too spiritual? Or have they ever asked you questions about life, death, or angels that felt like they were echoing straight from another realm? Archangel Michael says, these are the signs. This is how God speaks when our adult minds are too busy, too tired, or too wounded to hear Him directly. Children carry light. They often speak truths they cannot logically understand. That's because they're not speaking from logic, they're speaking from spirit. Many times, they will say something at just the right moment, a phrase that eases your fear, a sentence that answers a question you've been silently praying about, or a sudden comment that reveals something you hadn't noticed. These moments are not random. Archangel Michael wants you to realize, they are messages. God doesn't always shout. He whispers through what is pure. And the purest vessels on this earth are often children. Your child may be seeing angels and not even know what to call them. They may talk about imaginary friends who are not so imaginary. They may become afraid of a room without explanation, because they're sensing energy you've trained yourself to ignore. Their tears, their joy, their silence, it all holds meaning. When they say they feel something in their room, when they stare at something invisible, when they say, someone told me but can't explain who, it's time to listen. Archangel Michael says your child may have been chosen as a divine messenger, not to carry your burdens, but to awaken your awareness. You see, children are sent to us not just to be taught, but to teach. God often places messages in their hearts because their voices carry no ego, no agenda, only truth. When a child says, God told me, we often smile and move on. But what if that moment was sacred? What if that was God reaching out to you through the one voice you'd never expect? You may begin to notice changes in your child. They may seem more emotional, more sensitive to noise, more drawn to nature, or more interested in deep things beyond their years. Don't be quick to dismiss this as a phase. Archangel Michael warns, these are signals. Their soul may be awakening to a higher calling. They may dream of angels, of flying, of talking with someone they can't quite describe. These dreams are not ordinary. They are connections to the higher realm. There are times when your child's eyes may seem too wise for their age, or they say something about someone's feelings that they shouldn't know. Pay attention. The veil is thin around them. And God often places wisdom in their hearts to help you navigate your own journey. The question is, will you listen? Many parents miss the signs because they're too focused on the surface. too distracted by schedules, routines, or discipline. But Archangel Michael urges you to pause. To really see your child, not just as someone you're raising, but as a soul you've been entrusted with. A soul who may be here not just for their own path, but to awaken something in yours. Sometimes, when a child insists on telling you something, especially if they repeat it or seem unusually emotional, you must listen with your heart, not your ears. They might say something like, "God says you don't have to be scared," or "the angels are with you," or even describe a glowing person who came to their dreams. This is not fantasy. This is divine contact. This is sacred conversation. And often, it will come at the exact moment you needed it. In the middle of a storm. In the middle of doubt. In the quiet after a breakdown. That's how heaven works, through timing, through truth, through innocence. Your child may not remember these moments later. But you will. Because they weren't meant to carry the message forever. They were just the messenger. You may also notice that your child begins to ask questions that seem too complex for their age, questions about death, about where people go when they leave, about why people suffer. These are not random thoughts. Archangel Michael says these are reflections of divine downloads entering their soul, triggered by their spiritual sensitivity. They are absorbing energy from the unseen realm, and sometimes, it leaks out as innocent questions with deep meaning. Don't be quick to brush them off. Lean in. These questions may be the doorway to your own spiritual breakthrough. Sometimes, the signs come through their drawings. You might find them sketching angels, lights, or strange symbols. These are often not just doodles, they are imprints from something they've seen or sensed. You may even hear them humming a tune that calms your soul, or singing lyrics they couldn't possibly have made up on their own. Archangel Michael says that God often uses sound to carry divine vibrations, and children can become spontaneous vessels for that healing frequency. There may be moments where your child seems to know things before they happen. They may say, "I feel something is going to happen," or mention someone right before they call. This spiritual sensitivity is not an accident, it's a sign that the angelic realm is close. Your child is tuned in. Heaven is not far from them. And because you're connected to them by love, these divine signals are meant for you too. Archangel Michael emphasizes that not every child will have the same experience, but every child carries divine light. Some are more vocal, others more quiet, but all of them reflect heaven in some way. Some signs are loud, others are subtle, but once you become aware, you'll begin to notice them everywhere. A sudden phrase that echoes something you've been feeling. A question that pierces your heart. A moment of unexplainable peace when your child simply sits beside you. Don't ignore the changes. If your child suddenly becomes more withdrawn or seems overwhelmed without cause, they may be sensing spiritual shifts. They might cry without knowing why or express fear about things they can't explain. This is not something to silence. This is something to understand. Archangel Michael says your child may be reacting to spiritual energy, processing the invisible things we adults have learned to numb ourselves to. In many cases, the child's divine message isn't just for one person, it may be for the entire family. Their words may shift the mood in the house. Their presence may bring peace during tension. They may unexpectedly say something that resolves an argument or brings clarity to a confused moment. These are holy interruptions. God speaking directly into the rhythm of your life through the heart of a child. Archangel Michael reveals something deeply important. when a child becomes a vessel for divine communication, it's often because a spiritual gateway has opened in the family lineage. It may be your prayers, your healing journey, or your growing awareness that created space for that message to arrive. Your child may be the one chosen to carry it, but the message is for you. You are being seen. You are being heard. Heaven is responding. This is why you must remain present. Listen not just to the words, but to the energy beneath them. Sit with your child. Ask about their dreams. Encourage their intuition. Let them express without fear of being dismissed. You're not just parenting, you're also receiving. Receiving truth from one of heaven's most gentle messengers. And in their words, however strange or simple they may seem, God may be saying exactly what your soul has needed to hear all along. Sometimes, your child might say something and walk away, leaving you in silence, stunned, confused, or even emotional without knowing why. That moment is not meant to be solved with logic. It's meant to be felt. Archangel Michael says God speaks through children with a softness that bypasses the mind and moves directly into the heart. It may not make sense right away, but it will stir something in your spirit. That stirring is sacred. Don't ignore it. There may come a moment when your child speaks of a presence in the room, perhaps describing someone who isn't visible, or saying things like, "The light is watching," or "I saw someone with wings." These are moments when the veil between worlds has thinned. Your child is not making it up. Archangel Michael says that children can often see what adults cannot. Their innocence allows them to perceive spiritual beings, and sometimes, those beings are sent with specific guidance or protection. If your child ever says something that brings you to tears, something unexpectedly healing or uplifting, know that those words are not random. They are anointed. They carry a frequency beyond their age, beyond their understanding. God uses their voice not because they know the message, but because they are the perfect vessel for you to receive it. You are not being tested. You are being loved, through a voice you trust the most. And in some cases, your child may even act as a mirror, reflecting your unspoken feelings, echoing your hidden pain, or expressing the joy you've forgotten. When they suddenly become quieter, more emotionally sensitive, or cling more to you than usual, they may be feeling your energy. They absorb it. Archangel Michael urges you to take these emotional shifts seriously, not as behavioral issues, but as signals from heaven that something within your home, your heart, or your life needs attention. You may also find your child talking about heaven as if they remember it. Saying things like, "I used to fly before I came here," or "God said I'd see you again." These are not just sweet thoughts. These could be fragments of soul memory, surfacing for a reason. Archangel Michael reveals that some children carry spiritual memory from before they were born, memories that surface when they are needed most, to guide, to comfort, or to remind you of the bigger plan. And when your child suddenly becomes brave, offering you words of encouragement during your hard days, or holding your hand without explanation, take that as divine timing. The angelic realm often nudges children to act when heaven knows you need it most. Their gesture is the hug God knew you were too tired to ask for. Their words are the prayers you couldn't form. Their love is the message wrapped in a body so small, yet so deeply connected to the source. Archangel Michael wants you to understand one powerful truth: this is not about superstition. It's about sacred awareness. It's about realizing that divine messages come in ways that require stillness to hear. And children are among the most powerful messengers, not because they know everything, but because they are unburdened by disbelief. They don't question the light they feel. They just express it. And that purity is the exact reason God uses them. If you've been waiting for a sign, if you've been silently asking for guidance or reassurance or clarity, and your child has recently said something that made you pause, think, or feel deeply, don't skip that sign. That may have been the very answer heaven sent. A message tailored for your soul, delivered in a voice that you would listen to without resistance. If this message touched something deep in your heart, if you felt even a flicker of truth in the words spoken today, then this was meant for you. Don't let it end here. Subscribe now and stay connected to the divine messages that are calling you higher every single day. Your spiritual journey deserves this kind of truth. Comment below and tell us, has your child ever said something that felt like a message from above? Your story could awaken someone else who's searching for the same light. And if this video brought you peace, clarity, or confirmation, consider sending a super thanks. Every offering helps us continue sharing these sacred messages with souls around the world who need them most. This is not just a video. This is a divine alignment. Act on it. Share this message. Subscribe for more. And never ignore the signs heaven sends, especially when they come through the voice of your child.